Estamos 2 minutos antes y así tenemos más tiempo para alguna pregunta, que yo creo que Dirk va a provocar preguntas, ¿no? Bueno, tengo el placer de presentar a Dirk Weissleder, nacido en 1969 en Hannover, Alemania, consultor, político local, miembro del Parlamento local de la ciudad de Latzen, presidente nacional de DAGV, agrupa 72 asociaciones genealógicas y heráldicas en Alemania que representan a más de 25.000 miembros. Vicepresidente Confédération Internationale de Genealogía e Heráldica, cofundador y vicepresidente de la Asociación Internacional de Genealogía Alemana, IGGP, más de 140 asociaciones, institutos y grupos de todo el mundo, miembro designado de la Academia Internacional de Genealogía AIG. Tiene la palabra Mr. Weissleder, whenever you like, Dirk.
Well, thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse that I do not speak in Spanish, but I will not speak in German, so I was speaking English. First of all, it's a wonderful event to have this very first Congress for Young Genealogists, and I was thinking about a topic I would like to present. And perhaps the name of my presentation is a little bit shocking for you, because it indicates that there is an ending of genealogy, or the future of genealogy might be difficult. Because I think the genealogy of the future will no longer be genealogy, but it will be much, much more. And what that might be, I'm going to talk about. My whole lecture you can read in the later publications, so I do not read it, but I try to give you some of the most ideas in it. And I would love to be a little bit provocative, and I would ask you to ask questions, and later on, when we have tea or coffee, to discuss all of that. So there will be some parts of my presentation, of course, an introduction. Then I concentrate on 8 theses about the possible future. I cannot look into the future, no one can, but based on the experiences I have, I'm courageous enough to phrase some theses that might describe the future. And then afterwards, I would like to come to a conclusion, asking the question, why are we doing all this, and where do we want to go? And then, of course, there will be some questions, hopefully. So, as an introduction, I must say that genealogy builds bridges between the past and the present, and it is needed to have those accessible resources. Without those resources, everything is just a miracle or just a story that is told and given through generations. So that means that genealogy is a very specific thing to deal with, and actually it is needed to be scientific. But when you then contrast genealogy to the regular historic science, you will find out the thing that historic sciences in general look at the more general developments, the country, the language, that story of culture, all of that. Then maybe special groups from kings and popes and whatever. Why the genealogy we are doing our research on also has got the ability to look at the single individual family throughout the historic times. And there is a friction between the regular history by, describing the nation's history, but we are those who are able to talk about the regular life of the normal people in all that times. And we all see it, the interest in that specific description of simple lives is growing. Just to give you an idea, this is a picture I took in the library of Stuttgart, so the capital of Baden-Württemberg. You know, Mercedes-Benz and Porsche, that is the area of Germany where these great cars are produced. And I took this picture not only because this library was awarded of being the special library of the year 2011, but it also gives us an impression how different the ways towards a specific books can be. You can go on different ways to different levels. You can up and down, you can go up and down. And the only thing is you need to know what you're looking for. And everyone who does genealogy maybe is in a situation to find something that was totally unexpected. And that makes it so very fascinating. So this picture should only illustrate how we deal with genealogy. What we see at the moment is a time of rapid change. I mean, we all know we wanted to have this international congress here in Madrid that then was delayed to 2021. We all have seen the results of the 2 years of the pandemic. And what we see in Eastern Europe at the moment is also changing a lot the agenda of Europe. We all see also the impact then of how genealogy is done. Just imagine you would like to research in archives in Ukraine at the moment or in Russia. So things have dramatically changed. But genealogy is growing, and especially this is shared. I was asking myself, when the title of your great Congress is the younger researcher, how do we define young? I mean, I'm not talking to you as a grandfather, but as a father of two, of an 18-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. They know me by doing genealogy, but I cannot promise they will continue my work. I do not know. So young researchers maybe is the group that actually is young, but I also thought that when we are talking about younger researchers, we might think about those people being new in the business. And it could be a still young elder person. What we see in whole Europe, especially in Central Europe, that the building up of societies, associations, and all of that is not older than about 150 years. So especially in Germany, after the German unification of 1870, so that was the idea of forming national and local groups dealing with history of the nation, but also dealing with family history. So it is a tradition that is not that extremely old. And for that time, it is important to see that at that time it was, limited to the national borders. So the Germans were researching on Germany, and the French and the Spanish would also do that, but in the boundaries of their nations. But today, and I mean this Congress here is the living proof that we are doing this internationally. So this is a breakthrough in our research, that we do this not only for our nation and not only through the lens of our nation, but we do it in interaction between nations and individuals. Having said this, I came to the conclusion that actually there are 4, maybe more, but I concentrated on 4 dimensions of genealogy. So the first one I see is the scientific genealogy, so everything that we are talking about, academic precision, the methods, everything that can be proved, everything that can be refound. So this is the first dimension of genealogy, the specific one. Then, of course, we see the popular genealogy, so people on every level of age and educational background, so the mass interest of people that are marching in the genealogy. In that dimension, we can differentiate between voluntary run organized genealogy, so be it a small group or be it an organization as a society or something like that. And we also see in the popular genealogy the commercialized genealogy. So we see those big companies that sell content, ancestry and all of that. So this is the commercial side of the genealogy. Then, of course, we see the noble genealogy, as the Hidalgos are the best example here. For me, it is very interesting to see how you are organized here in Spain. It's different in Germany, I can tell you. So we might learn from you. And then we see everything that is non-normal or being civic. So everyone who wants to enter the genealogical research. These are the 4 dimensions of genealogy. The first thesis is, in my understanding, genealogy will definitely grow. Genealogy looks at the first sight being very specific. When you're talking to people, they might be frustrated from the beginning because they are no experts. But that is only the first sight, because everyone can talk about their family because we come from families. So it is not that absurd or abstract. So everyone can contribute within a conversation something from his or her background. Because today it is a mass phenomenon that people are at least being interested in that topic. Most of the Germans would say, well, I would do family history research after I retire. So they push it, the starting of genealogy, further and further in their life, and we have to stop them and saying, you have to start right now. And we see growing numbers of genealogists within our societies, but also growing numbers of subscribers. We see a growing interest by following the question, where did I come from? Where are the roots of my family, and where do I belong? And I think this is globally, this is not specific for one nation, this is the motivation that all of us drives us. And we see the intensifying due to the development of migration, especially in my country. We have seen more than 1 million migrants coming to Germany. We are in the center of the continent, and that does have some results. So genealogy today is $1 billion business, is a market, so there is also interest in let it grow. So we are not alone, it is not only our societies, there's also economical interest in it, and we are more complex than ever before, we are multi-ethnic, we are more international than before, and very important, we are interdisciplinary. Second thesis is there will be more resources, scientific as well as those for the general public. We will see a growing number of digitized resources provided by the internet, more material that will not decrease, but you know, archives have been very, very angry or frightened that the people, the genealogists might not visit the archives again, but the difference is reality. The people are more interested because they wanted to know about the content and the context of a digitized record, so they are more visiting archives than ever before. And what I foresee is the artificial intelligence that would provide more contextualization than ever before, more findings and better conclusions. The former time was defined by just a limited number of resources, and what we see today is the total opposite. So when I started 30 years ago in genealogy, I was happy to find at least something, and today you go online and you have got the other problem to find what really is important in all that mass information. What we then, that is the third thesis I have, we will see fewer young people organized in associations. So due to the much easier access to documents, we will see fewer young people, unfortunately, in our organizations, because people think everything is online, everything can be found in the internet, so why should I enter any association or societies compared with the past? But I think we will see much more research projects on specific topics, but less time investment of people, because the younger generation of today, and I actually see it with my own kids, are so stressed by so many different opportunities that they can choose, that it will be the situation, in my understanding, that people are willing to participate in projects, but they will define the time frame and they will define the intensity of their help. That will bring us, unfortunately, a dramatic change within the associations, because younger people will not be that often willing to participate within the administration of society. So that, in my eyes, will bring a danger of dying out. But there is a way out, there is a chance. I think that we all in different countries have a realistic chance to survive when we open our doors to fresh faces and fresh ideas, so to say. Fourth thesis, there will be fewer printed publications, but there will be more databases than ever before and more complete DNA results. And that will be a major step forward. We should not be angry and we shouldn't be so sorry to see that there perhaps will be less books printed, but there will definitely more books in the shape of the PDF or any download. So the shape of the information will change, the way how it is presented. On the other way, it will be much, much easier to get a book or a PDF book than ever before because you can easily share it. And we will see more genealogical data than ever before. The less printed books will mean there will be less mentions within the catalogs, but I believe there will be more online descriptions. So the mass of information needs to be dealt with, but what is better, that you have less information or a big variety of information. So that is genealogy of the future, and DNA again will revolutionize genealogy by its methods and especially by the matches that more and more people can show how they are connected. The fifth thesis is we need more reasons to meet and to be active. Like a drunk person or an alcoholic, we need more reasons to drink, so to say. So genealogy in the future can be done in your private home in front of a computer, and that will be brilliant. And it can be brilliant, but at the end of the day, you are alone. And when you think about what is the outcome of your research, who do you reach out for? You will have a wonderful archive of the most important and brilliant results, but I can tell you where that goes after you are gone. It will go to rubbish when you don't present it in a way that attracts other people, or at least when you publish this so that others, perhaps in years to come, can find your results. So genealogy needs a reason to exist. It is good that we are happy with what we are doing, but I understand this Congress as the question, how do we find the younger generation? So there is a need to describe what we do. I put it in the word, we must be sexy. That means we must be attractive for younger people, and the younger people must understand what is our attention. And here comes the big news. Maybe their intention is different. Yeah? So this is what we have to learn. So we need more reasons to meet. Everything like jubilees, achievements, historic events, whatever. Invite people to come, show what you have found. Let them be part of a bigger story. We do this for nearly 35 years to invite younger people to our family meetings, and then we watch how they approach things, what questions they have. That is interesting because their future is developing in that moment. Yeah? So everything that gives you a reason to talk about genealogy, so to say. Yeah? Invite everyone because of the 100th birthday of grandma or whatever. So, and it is important that we also see a dramatic change within those conferences and congresses because younger people are not able to afford this to come. But here's a way out. It is the hybrid format. We have it here today, we have it at Rootstack, we have it at all these big conferences that also people from outside without traveling can be part of the conference. So wonderfully. It's a new way of presenting. I think it's wonderful. And the benefit of what we do must be clearer to everyone. That means that we perhaps have to change our language when we describe things. It is wonderful that we are so high intellectual knowing what we are talking about, but a younger generation might ask, what do you mean? Yeah, what is meant by that? And so when we go back in times and talk about duchies and kingdoms and where is this today? Yeah, so the way to that topic must be found for the younger generation. The sixth thesis I have is about the power for future genealogies. Perhaps some impulses for new ideas. A healthy village, in my understanding, exists and consists of older and younger inhabitants at the same time. But look at our societies. How many women? How many younger people? Yeah? So I guess we should more balance the memberships of our institute societies, associations. So have a look to all these different groups. In Germany, genealogy traditionally was done by men, but the ladies are growing. But in Great Britain or in Australia, I have seen, or in the United States, the genealogical public associations are run by women. Yeah? Because women don't have this tunnel understanding by, do they belong to us? Women integrate more because their views are different by saying, okay, come on, yeah, you're invited, come, have a seat at the table and let's talk. And you see that within the societies, the vitality comes from this open understanding that everyone can contribute a part to that. So talking about a traditional village, all generations have been there. Not only the old, not only the young, not only the Middle Ages, but all. So the powerhouse for genealogy is an environment of innovation and growth of new ideas. What does that mean? We are, and I do it as a dad, I'm always criticizing my kids when they use too often those mobile phones. But that is a media. That is a different approach of things. People today can immediately research things, what is on their mind. What would we have given to have that 30 years ago, 20 years ago? Yeah? So even I am criticizing it. I also have to see this as a great chance. So the innovation comes from the discussion about a thing and someone proves you wrong because Wikipedia tells differently. But that is research. And that is possible on every single subject, and it can be also done, as we know, by genealogy. And again, the motivation follows the meaningfulness. That means the question of younger people, why should I do it? Ask yourself, what is our answer? Because it's important, it's good to be educated, people will be impressed that you know it, yeah? But that is not their approach. What does it bring for me? What is my benefit? Where is the meaningfulness in that? And that is the question of, is it important for you to know where our family comes from or not? Is it of any value? And it is. It is definitely. But again, the approach is differently. Younger people will, on first hand, not ask for the book for all the questions. Younger people will ask you one specific question. And when you over-dramatize your answer, that'd be too much. But their approach is important. Oh, there's a question. Wow. One question, one answer, more questions, more answers. So that is a dialogue. Yeah? So genealogy of the future will receive fresh air from new ideas. And here comes the important thing. The new ideas are more coming from younger people than from us. The younger people will have new ideas. And they will, as we say, deconstruct everything. They will put everything in pieces and look at these single ingredients. Why is that? And we would say, well, keep it together. Yeah, don't destroy it. But the question of where does it come from is the most important. So listen, and I say this to myself, listen to the younger generation. That is the approach. Going public, new ways ahead. I'm optimistic on that. It will be important for individuals, but for genealogy as a whole, to connect people with public interest, local and regional with international connections. What does that mean? It is so cool to have a cousin abroad, wherever he or she is. It is so cool, and you know it already. They will be connected by Facebook, that's for older people, or having new media for younger people, but there is a connection. And that is what is a great benefit. That is sexy to them. Yeah, to say, oh, there's a cousin abroad, and you know, she or he likes this music, and we share this. So the genealogy as a whole has an approach, has an improvement when we see this intellectual connection. Just remember when we were 20, what was possible back then and what is possible today. So in allowing this and motivating this, the whole genealogical background will be lifted up. Genealogy from local activities to global perception. That is when we see local historians asking for immigrants. In Germany, 90% of the immigrants of the 19th century went to the United States, and the last 10% went to Brazil or to Australia or New Zealand. But that is very important. When you see now descendants of these, you know how these stories went on. It is not, but the regular understanding of history would be, okay, they left, it's all over, we have no interest anymore, let them go. But 200 years later, it is so interesting that on the other continent, mostly from the United States, there's a big interest in your country. And it will be the same for Spain from especially Latin America. So you are exactly knowing what I'm talking about. This interconnection, that is something great. And in my eyes, this is the gold standard of genealogy. The gold standard of genealogy is to meet people of today. Why we are doing all of this? It's good to know, it's wonderful. But on the top is that we meet descendants of these. That's my understanding. So that is something that gives us the power for the future. And try out new ways of presenting our research results, everything that we found out and we know, but we need to present it, especially to a younger generation. And it can be the old story that they have heard 1,000 times before. But when the younger generation will present your old story in a new shape, that will be fantastic, because you will see, wow, this is a new approach. This is something new to present this. And we're talking about pictures. We're talking about little movies. We're talking about documents and all of that. Yeah? And also a little, what would I call a small exhibition, a table full with old pieces, documents, letters, a ring, or, you know, something, jubilee or something like that, yeah? So that the younger generation can have something concrete actually to touch and to understand and to ask questions. So try out new ways of presenting. What we did in our family association is we had an exhibition in the dark. We had a room full of artifacts and lamps. Everything was dark and the people had to approach each single artifact and ask, what is that? So they also got in dialogue. That was fantastic. Yeah, that was fantastic because we had an interaction between the generations also. What we will see in the next year is the World Year of Genealogy and Heredity. I'm very proud that the CIGH has decided to declare the year of 2024 being the World Year of Genealogy and Heredity. And that could be, and that will be, the big chance to go to the world public and to show what is in genealogy. It is not important that we know how important genealogy is. We must let all the other people know, especially those who have not started yet. So we have to be more active in the public, and that could be a tool to do that. The eighth thesis is recruiting young talents. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now. Everywhere and now. Genealogists cannot be too young of age. Can be kids. Have you ever seen kids drawing heredity? Have you ever seen kids drawing your family tree? It's fantastic. So the question in all of that is not, when do young people start being interested? The most important question is, when do they end? When do they finish with the interest? Because the interest is there. Kids are always interested in grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunts, sisters, brothers. The interest is there, but it loses its power over the years. So recruit them now. Look for them in your families, at school, everywhere. And even if they might use the mobile phone too often, as I said, be smart with that, be nice with that. Because it is just our understanding. When we are gone, everyone will just use the mobile phones. Young genealogists must have their choice in smaller and bigger projects and activities. Motivate them to present something at the next birthday party or whatever, and expect the unexpected. And in finishing, why are we doing all of this? Where do we want to go? In a world of multi-options, young people are in a big crisis. We had only one chance to do it or not to do it. The younger generation have hundreds of opportunities to do. Yeah? So why is it genealogy? We must help them finding the right answer in our eyes. Genealogy is brilliant, it's a brilliant vehicle through times, because that is history that you can actually live with your own family and with your own experience. So going new ways means adapting the needs of younger people. This is very important. Listen to them, give them enough space, and motivate them to be creative. We will see a global family of genealogists. That is my understanding, and I put it in these words: think Genia globally. So let us try to learn to think not only genealogy in the dimension of our family, but of all families. And that is the ultimate conclusion. The genealogy of the future will no longer be genealogy, but an historical science for the multimedia and universal consideration of kinship relations, personal and family history. I know I was not too provocative, but I hope that my theses are not so absurd, and I hope that I could motivate you in getting into a dialogue with younger people. Change the perspective. They are the masterminds of today when it comes to technology, presenting and all of that. We might become wise, but they are clever. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Dirk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have some time for questions? No.